Hello and welcome to episode number 16 of Prosperity by the Pint. I'm your host, Brice Carter. I am a self-proclaimed millennial money expert. I am a certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant, certified investment management analyst, and this is the podcast where we talk about money, investing, business, and life success, all while having a cold beer. Although, full disclaimer, I'm thinking in an upcoming episode I might have a cold bourbon, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. So this week I am drinking this. You guys know I usually go with craft beers. I'm not doing a craft beer this week. I'm sorry, but I am doing one of my favorite go-to light lagers, which is from America's oldest brewery, the Yuengling Traditional Lager. So the main reason I'm going with this beer is, well, one, it's a delicacy here in Michigan. We don't get Yuengling, so if you're listening from one of the states that does, I don't know all of them, but I know our southern neighbor Ohio does, which occasionally I am in, unfortunately or fortunately. I do have family there, which I care about, but I do not like that state. I get some Yuengling while I'm there, so that's why I have some Yuengling. So cheers. It's just better than other light beers. It just is. So this week, the topic of conversation is the silent killer of conservative investors, and that is inflation. So I thought I'd share a story, and this comes back to the Yuengling thing, because my dad is from Ohio, and my grandfather passed away a couple of years ago. And my dad inherited his old pickup truck. It was a 1967 Chevy C10 pickup truck that my papa had bought brand new in 67. And my dad was trying to find the window sticker for it, and the purchase price on it, which we ended up finding, was like $2,300. So in 1967, my papa bought a brand new pickup truck for $2,300. Now, I was on Chevy's website, and I looked up what the MSRP was for that in 1967, and it was $2,408. So Papa got a deal, apparently. So $2,408 in 1967. Today, a brand new pickup truck. I was looking at some window stickers. It's about, let's just say you don't go with a fully loaded option. Maybe you go with a nice, middle of the road. I looked up an F-150. We're looking at about $45,000. So from 1967 to today, the price of a brand new pickup truck has gone from $2,400 roughly to $45,000 roughly. And if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking to yourself, you could easily spend $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 on a pickup truck. Some of these like loaded Lariat F-250s with everything, including a rocket ship attached to the back of them, are astronomically priced. But the result of that is inflation. So the price increase on the truck from then until now is inflation. So let's take a look back at 1967. So in 1967, the U.S. population was about 198 million people. Our president was Lyndon B. Johnson. The price of gas was 33 cents a gallon. Gallon milk was $1.03. The average household income was $7,143. And the price of a new home was $24,600. So let's just break this down. The population today, by the way, about 327 million. So the population has gone from 198 million to 327 million. It's a damn good beer. And let's look at this just one at a time. So price of gallon of milk, price of a gallon of gas, 33 cents in 1967. Jeez. Today it's about $2.89. That's what I paid earlier this week, $2.89 a gallon. So let's attach a growth rate to that. It's 4.26% a year is what the average inflation rate would have averaged for gas from 1967 until now. The truck, if we compare $2,408.67 to $45,000 today, is 5.79% rate of inflation. Now, these are two higher than average numbers. Now, inflation is tracked by, the most common metric is the Consumer Price Index. So that's averaged, depending on who you ask and which CPI number they use, is about 2.5%. So the gas 4.2, the truck 5.79. Those are higher than average. If we looked at some other things like the growth of college tuition, or the growth of healthcare expenses, those are even higher than those numbers. But there's other metrics that are a little bit lower. So if we look at one particular on here, which is a gallon of milk. Interesting thing is the statistics from 1967 just give the price of a gallon of milk. And if you look up the price of a gallon of milk today, it gives you like 30 options. 2% organic, 2% non-organic, whole milk, organic. I just use the average, all right? We're looking at the price of a gallon of milk somewhere right around $3.89. So that works out to 2.68% inflation rate. And the average household income, I thought this one was interesting. So if the average inflation rate has been roughly 2.5% across all products and services, the average inflation or growth rate of the average household income has been 4.2%. So average household income, $7,143, grew to household income average $61,000, which is 4.2%, which is greater than inflation. So despite the economic environment that many people feel like the middle class has been left behind, at least according to this one very narrow statistic, household income has grown faster than inflation, which means the quality of our lives has improved. Also, you could look at other metrics like things like, this is a different topic, but the cost of a TV in 1967 was a significant expense. And today, if you have a decent paying job, you could probably go buy a semi-decent 40-inch flat screen TV, and you wouldn't have to save up for a year for it like you would in maybe 1967, where the cost of it was just a huge budget breaker. So because technology has improved, some of our household goods and services are significantly less expensive than they used to be. However, there is certain metrics that, like healthcare and tuition and the price of gas, cost of a brand new vehicle, which is certainly not a necessity, have all equated to the inflation rate and ended up coming out to about 2.5%. So this is where it gets into the conversation about personal finance and retirement and investing planning. Beer break, went on a rant there. Take a lot of beer breaks this episode since I like this beer so much. It's really easy to drink. So if we look at investment rate of return, and I'm gonna put some numbers out here for you guys. So let's say you are saving $6,000 a year. Okay, you're saving $6,000 a year, which is coincidentally how much you can put into a Roth IRA right now, which is maybe why I picked that number. And you save $6,000 a year for 35 years. So let's say you're 30 years old today and you got the money to start saving $6,000 a year. By the time you are 65 years old, if you earn a rate of return of 8%, you will have a little over $1 million, $1,033,000. Not bad, right? That's a pretty good chunk of change. But here's the problem. That's $1 million in future. It's $1 million in the future. That's not going to be able to buy $1 million worth of goods and services in the future because inflation will erode at the value of that. So there's an equation you can do. It basically is you take inflation rate and you divide it by the rate of return. And so what your real rate of return will be. And so if I take an 8% rate of return, assume 2.5% inflation, your real rate of return is going to be 5.36%, which is after inflation. So your after inflation rate of return. What that means is your investment portfolio 35 years from now, all the same assumptions, is really only worth about $584,000. Now, the dollar amount on the statement on your investment account on your balance sheet might say 1.1 million or 1,033,000, but it will only be able to buy goods and services worth a total of about 584,000. So the point of this is to say, for those people that tuck their money under the mattress or bury it in the backyard or just put it into a money market that earns 1% because they don't want to lose the money, you are losing money every single year. You're not making more than inflation. Every single year. You're just deciding that instead of burning your money with gasoline, which is the true losing your money, right? You're just going to let, a little bit of it disappear each year. You're going to be able to buy a little bit less. Every year that goes by, Instead of being able to buy a full gallon of milk, you're going to be trying to find a grocer that's going to sell you 3/4 of a gallon of milk, because guess what? The price of milk keeps going up. So does the price of gas. So do goods and services. They continually go up. So you have to keep your money growing at least with, but preferably at a rate greater than inflation. So let's think about that for a second. Why I say at least with, preferably faster than inflation, is that if I need $1 million when I retire, and I want it to be a true $1 million, that means that I have to save really close to $1 million. However, if I want $1 million and I don't want to save $1 million, or I'm not capable of it because I don't make enough, you have to invest in a way that will allow your money to earn more interest than an assumed inflation rate. Now, inflation is going to move all over the place. We can average 2.5%, but it could be up to 4% a year. I mean, there was times in the 70s and the 80s where inflation really kind of got out of control, where you had to earn 5, 6, 7% in order to keep pace with inflation. Now, that's a different environment. I'm not saying we're in that right now, but it's important to keep this in mind, because far too many people think by saving money in cash or savings accounts or money markets and things like that, that they're saving their money from the risk of being lost, but they're just deteriorating their value at a slower pace than what they might see if they were invested in the markets. Sure, in the markets, your money can go up and down every single day, but the average rate of return is significantly above that of inflation when you're investing in the stock market, or even in some cases the bond market. So the lesson to be learned here today, folks, is inflation is a silent killer. If you're too conservative an investor, it's going to chip away at the value of your retirement investment accounts. So you have to be very conscious of that, and you have to take an appropriate amount of risk in order to have your funds growing above and beyond the rate of inflation. That's this week's episode of Prosperity by the Pint. Don't forget to subscribe to us, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and follow us on Facebook, Prosperity by the Pint. Cheers, folks.